Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Friday's edition of Coffee with Miss Jimenez. Yay, it's Friday. Okay, so tomorrow y'all don't have to do this. So exciting. Okay, so today we are going to read one of my favorite stories, guys. I love this story. Rosie Revere Engineer. We're going to read that story today. So before we jump into our story, I need you to make sure that you have already read the story on your own. And if you haven't, I want you to pause it, and then I want you to read it, and then I want you to come back, and we're going to reread it and annotate it together. Okay? Did you read it already? Hope you did. Okay, so I was finally able to get back into our classroom and get some of our cards and some pictures and other stuff that I needed. So I'm very excited, guys. Yay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with our vocabulary for our story so we can kind of build some background knowledge, okay? Our first word is engineer. So an engineer is a person who uses science to design or build machines. Or like contraptions, kind of how yesterday's story was calling them contraptions instead of machines. So those can kind of be synonyms. All right, so I say it and then, okay, engineer. An engineer is a person who uses science to design and build machines. Okay, I hope you said it. I'm watching you. Okay, perplexed. Perplexed. Okay, if you are perplexed, you feel confused or worried about something. Like you don't really understand what's going on. So let's see. What's an example I could give you? So if you're worried, like, I have a perplexed look on my face, like I kind of don't understand, like I don't know what to say. Like, does that make sense, guys? I'm perplexed. I'm just like, I kind of don't know. I don't know. Get it? I hope so. Okay. Dynamo. Dynamo. It kind of sounds like a word that you already know. Kind of like dynamite, maybe. So, a person who is a dynamo has a lot of energy and is very good at what he or she does, okay? Dynamo. Sounds like the word dynamite, and dynamite explodes, right? So, if you are a dynamo, you have a lot of energy. You're an explosion of energy, kind of like dynamite, okay? Okay, lingers. Lingers. Okay. When something lingers, it remains for a long time. Okay. So, let's see. I want you to think of like a perfume or a cologne that, or like Febreze, or like air freshener. So, what do you want it to do? You want it to smell like air freshener or like a perfume, like if you spray it on yourself. You want the smell to be able to linger or stay around for a period of time. So if you spray it, so like, let's say that like you just gave your dog a bath and your house now smells like wet dog, like a wet dog smell, and you don't want it to smell like that. So you Febreze it, and you want the Febreze smell to linger, to like stay around. Maybe? I hope you're getting it. Ooh. I really wish I could talk to y'all. Okay. World. World. Okay. Something that world turned around several times. So, like this. Like it's going around and around, and around, and around, around, around. When I think of like an amusement park and maybe some rides, like what are some rides that make you go, that whirl you around? I'm like asking y'all questions like I expect y'all to answer me back. This is so sad. Okay, ready? baffled. Baffled. If you are baffled, you are confused. Okay? Like some of y'all could be baffled with your math homework at first, and you're like, I don't understand what this question is saying. Joanne only had like 20 apples. How could I take away 30? Like, baffled. You're baffled. You're like, what? I don't understand. Okay? I hope y'all got that. If not, go back and watch the video again. Ooh, wait, I could give y'all another resource. Do y'all remember where to go if you want to go find a synonym for a word? There's a book with a specific name. It's called a thesaurus. Do y'all remember where you need to go to find more synonyms? Thesaurus.com. And if you need to find the meaning of a word, you can go to, do you remember? It's not glossary, even though you could, but you don't have access to your glossary of your book. You could go to dictionary.com, find more meanings. All right, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to read Rosie Revere, Engineer. In this story, it's a narrative poetry. So do y'all remember when we talked about lines and stanzas? So stanzas are kind of like a paragraph, right? And line is literally the lines of a poem, okay? So this is poetry, so that means that some of these words, some of these lines are going to rhyme. So I want you to, if you haven't already done it, I want you to box in the rhyming words in the story, okay? Within the stanza. That makes sense? So you're just boxing in the two words that rhyme. So if we see that there are, because most stanzas are going to have 4 lines, okay? So if we see that line 1 and 3 rhyme, we're going to box this one and this line, okay? But if we see that these 2 lines also rhyme, what we're going to do is we're going to circle these. So we know that the 2 circles go together and the 2 rectangles or boxes go together, okay? We good? Since some of us don't have highlighters. I don't have a highlighter here. Oh, I should have grabbed a highlighter. Okay, next time. I'll be at school on Monday. I'll grab some highlighters on Monday. Okay, y'all ready? All right, guys. So narrative poetry, it's a story, okay? But it's just in a poem form, okay? It includes sound effects that reinforces the meaning of the poem. So, like, let's pretend that the poem is about flowers and birds. The poem is probably going to include words kind of like buzz or hum that emphasizes that that's the sound that the birds make. Birds, bees. Oh my God, I'm going crazy, guys. This is what happens when you stay inside all day. Okay. Some sound words are going to be some alliteration, some onomatopoeias, some hyperboles too. So we're going to be looking for those, and we're going to annotate those as we go. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Page 241. Rosie Revere, Engineer. I love this story. Okay. Ready? All right. Rosie Revere, Engineer. Page 241 by Andrea Beatty, illustrated by David Roberts. Okay, page 242. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Leela Greer's room at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. Okay, so I want you to stop. I want you to box in the rhyming words. Stanza 2. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineering stash. What's a stash? So a stash is kind of like a collection, or stash is like, some of y'all might have some toilet paper stashed. Like y'all could just have some hidden away, right? Okay. Late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. So what is she doing? So Rosie is gathering a bunch of what we would call random things. So like, oh, I found, some of y'all do this too already. Some of y'all are like, ooh, I found the lid to something and it kind of still different looking lid. Like I might be able to use it like as a hat for like my little doll. Like you just grab things just because you might need them later. Okay, so that is what she's doing. Okay, stanza 3. Alone in her attic, the moon high above. So what time of day is it? So moon gave us, that is evidence that it is what time of the day? It is nighttime, so it's not really day, it's nighttime. Ooh, did I trick y'all? No? Dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved, and when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. Who is she hiding these things from? That's something to ponder about, right? Maybe. So I'm gonna put a question mark right next to that stanza because I'm like, why is she hiding things? Like, is this a secret? Like, there's children down here in this illustration, so maybe she's doing it for school. Maybe it's like a project. Maybe it's like a competition. We don't know yet. Okay. Stanza 4. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye. She made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser, and helium pants. Why would you need helium pants? And can I see this hot dog dispenser, please? Because I love hot dogs. Okay, so who was she making these inventions for originally? So right there in the text, stanza 4, line 3, it says, made fine inventions for uncles and aunts. So do you think that maybe she was making it for her aunts and uncles? I don't know. Maybe her aunts and uncles like hot dogs. But it still doesn't answer the question of the helium pants. So I'm going to put a question mark right next to helium pants because why would you make helium pants? I don't see why as an inventor what problem you could have for helium pants. If you figure it out, guys, message me. Let me know why we need helium pants. Okay, so how has the author organized this story so far? So we have established that this is a poem, right? And the author has decided that that's how she's going to organize the story in poem form. Okay, so do y'all remember, I've been calling these by their names. This is not a paragraph, it is a stanza. Okay, how many lines are in each stanza? 4. Okay. So, what is the rhyme scheme in each stanza, guys? Do y'all know? So the word at the end of the first 2 lines rhyme, and the words at the end of the second 2 lines rhyme. So this is my stanza. Oh, okay, so there's 4 lines, right? So these 2 rhyme. These 2 lines, the words at the end of these 2 lines, those rhyme. And then the words at the end of these 2 lines rhyme. Okay? So there should be a square, square, or rectangle, rectangle, circle, circle. So these 2 rhyme, and then these 2 rhyme. Ooh, like, sorry. Sorry, guys. Okay. Ready? Let's move on. Oh, wait, no, let's go back. So do y'all see on page 243, like at the very top, there's this illustration up here? Why did the author include that? So maybe the author did write about what she used to do, right? And of like previous inventions that she had come up with. So maybe that's kind of like a memory bubble. You know how like a thinking bubble, like in the cartoons, like do up here, and then like they write like the thought. Well, maybe that rectangle or square, that's a memory, like of what she was remembering, or the author was remembering whenever they was talking about that. Interesting. Okay, turn the page. 244. Okay. The uncle she loved most was Zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head. Why would you need a hat to keep snakes off your head? What does he do for a living? Where does he work? At a zoo, right? So what do you think might be at that zoo? The snakes. Do you think he likes the snakes? If he wants to keep them off? Probably not, right? Okay. From parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. I didn't know that. Now we know something. Page 245. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred slapped his knee, and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed, and his eyes filled with tears, all of the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. So let's stop right there. How do you think she's feeling? So based on this illustration right here that we have on page 245, how do you think she's feeling? So she's probably feeling maybe, I know some of y'all said sad, upset, but let's think of other synonyms. So look at her face, like she's like no. Probably like disappointed. What else? What else do y'all think? Maybe embarrassed a little bit. Maybe a little hurt. Right? Because she's doing this for someone that she calls uncle. Right? And just from my previous or my life experience, I know that I love my uncles. Right? So you kind of get hurt whenever someone that you love says, oh, or starts laughing at you whenever you're like, look, this is what I made for you, right? So yeah, it's probably how she's feeling. Not very good, right? Okay, let's continue. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. I love it, Fred hooted. Oh, truly I do. But Rosie Revere knew that that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day kept her dreams to herself. Why do you think he said he loved it? So he was chuckling, like, oh, that was hilarious. I love it. Like, that's probably what he was doing. Like, he was probably just trying to be nice, right? Or like, that was hilarious. Like, do it again. Maybe. So what emotions do you think that Uncle Fred is going through? Like, one, he's probably like, this is hilarious. Like, what's going on right now, right? And then two, I want you to think of like, if you saw a fan with string cheese. Like, you'd be like, first of all, can I please have some crackers with that cheese? Sorry. I'd probably say that. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay. So how do you think Uncle Fred's feeling? Okay. So if she took her invention and she put it on the shelf, not just like on the shelf, she put it in the back of the shelf, do you think she'll go back to it? You've already read it, so you probably already know. But if you did that, if you're like, I'm going to put this up, and I'm going to put it up, like, way in the corner, like, I really don't want to look at it. So you're probably not very proud of it, right? And she knows that it's failed before. I don't know, guys. I don't know. So how do you know that Uncle Fred is important to Rosie? How do we know? So the text says on stanza number 5, the uncle she loved most. It says right there. So that's our text evidence that Uncle Fred meant a lot to Rosie. Okay? Stanza 7, page 246. before we get started, guys, let's look at these illustrations. So there's a woman up at the very top of an airplane, right? What is she doing? Looks like she's fixing a plane or she's building a plane. Interesting. And then what do we see up there? On the little, like, toolbox. Rosie. And then down below, we see another lady with a cane. She's, like, poking it at, or, like, pointing at something or trying to poke at something, right? And then she also has the same toolbox with the name Rosie. So could it possibly be that, like, this is Rosie looking at her future self, maybe? So what does she see herself? What does she see herself doing whenever she's older? Maybe having to do something with, one, travel, because she has luggage, right? And two, maybe airplanes, because she's fixing some kind of airplane, right? Okay, let's continue. Paragraph 7. And that's how it went until one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-aunt Rosie was a true dynamo who worked building airplanes a long time ago. So that wasn't Rosie. Who was that? That was her great-great-aunt Rose. So who was she named after? Rosie was named after her great-great-aunt Rose. So how do you think she feels about her? Yeah, she probably has some positive feelings towards her, right? Okay. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chat that one up to an old lady's dreams. Stanza number 9. That night as Rosie laid wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." Stanza 10. But questions are tricky, and some hold on tight. And this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. Okay, so why does on stanza number 10, the first line says, but questions are tricky and some hold on tight? What does that mean? So what the author is doing is saying that the questions, so thoughts, like questions like, let me give you an example. So I saw, I'm going to say a commercial the other day, okay, for some kind of like frying pan. I know, I'm sorry guys, here I go with my stories. Okay, so I saw an advertisement for like some kind of frying pan. And I was like, oh, that was a cool frying pan. Like, but what, I don't need another frying pan. I mean, I've got some in my kitchen. But then, like, the next day, I was like, I really like that frying pan. Like, I could fry cheese sticks. I could fry shrimp. I could fry some tacos. Like, I could fry things. If I really wanted to, I could figure out how to fry donuts. Like, so the thought of the frying pan stuck to my head. Like, I wanted one at that point, right? So those questions, whenever she says those questions are tricky and some hold on tight, the author's saying that sometimes you have an idea or inspiration or a certain feeling that just keeps going through your head over and over and over and over and over. And in this case, in my case, it was the frying pan. Like, I wanted that frying pan. But in Rosie's, it was the idea that she wanted to help her aunt fly. She wanted to help her great-great aunt accomplish one of her goals, right? Okay, page 248, stanza 11. Ready? She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn. To give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. Okay. What is her attitude towards this? She's already going in thinking like, this isn't gonna work, right? So stanza 11, line 4, it's saying the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. So she's already thinking inside of her head. She's thinking negatively, like, I've already failed once. Like, what's the point of trying again? Like, she's being a negative Nancy. We don't like negative Nancy's. Negative Nancy's got nowhere fast, right? So that's what she's being right now. Stanza 12. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The Helio cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled around and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. What happened? Yeah, it died, right? But look at the improvement. So I want you to look at page 244. Okay? So the fan thing, it didn't work, right? And look at the improvement she made from that to 248. They're getting better, right? So I want you to think of Rosie. Next time you think, like, I'm not getting nowhere fast. Like, I'm still getting it wrong. Like, I'm still not doing what I need to. Like, it's gonna get there. It's just slowly going up. Like, her inventions are slowly getting better. Does that make sense, guys? Like, I don't expect you to get it right away, okay? That's kind of the process Rosie is going through, okay? Page 250. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, and to all the horror of Rosie Revere. Who thought, oh no, never, not again will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I ever be a great engineer. Stanza 14. She turned round to leave, but then great-great-aunt Rose grabbed hold of her young Rosie and pulled her in close, and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next. Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, and perplexed. I failed, said dear Rosie. It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed. Yes, said her great aunt. It crashed, that is true. But first it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew. My heart. Stanza 15. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy, and on to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. Okay. So what is her great-great-aunt's message? What is Aunt Rose trying to tell Rosie? So she's great-great-aunt is basically telling her, like, look, this was a great first try. You did good, okay? But that you need to keep on trying. Like, you can't quit now. Like, look how far you've gone. It floated. Like, you flew for a little bit. And yes, it crashed, but you flew for a little bit. And that's what matters, okay? It matters that you keep on going. So that's what her grandma's trying to tell her, okay? So, we're going to compare this story to how are Rosie's great-great-aunt's words similar to the words that Thomas Edison said about failures? Do y'all remember what he said? Let me look at the page. Page 189 of Timeless Thomas. They show that both Rosie and Edison think that failures are very important. Like, you have to have failures in order for you to get better. Okay? Page 252. Ready? Okay. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 build gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proud as Rosie Revere. I love this story. Okay. So what was Rosie's impact on her classmates, guys? What do y'all think? Like, look down here on the illustrations. So one thing is that she taught them to cheer for their failures, right? And then to keep on going. Not to just quit because, dang, I messed up one time. Like, I'm gonna quit. This is horrible. No. Like, she basically, her positive attitude basically rubbed off on them, right? Okay, so what is a perfect failure, you think? What is a perfect failure? What do you think? I wish I could hear y'all. Okay, so a perfect failure is a failure that probably teaches you, but doesn't make you give up. Like, you kind of see, like, oh, I'm getting a little bit better, you know? Okay. All right, guys. So what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to do your pie, your cake, and your theme flag, because yesterday we got our theme flags. Yes. And then I want you to write an author's purpose. And then on page 253, so these right here, I want you to answer those 3 questions. So I'm going to go over them with you. Okay? Ready? Okay, number 1 says reread pages 242 to 243. What details in the text show that Rosie does not want to share her inventions or ideas? So, most of these are going to be, remember we said that if you stash something, you like take it and you kind of hide it away, kind of like your toilet paper. So you don't want to share, possibly, right? Or if I have a stash of M&Ms and I don't want my brother or sister to eat them, like, I'm going to do what with them? Besides eat them right away. We'll probably want to hide them, right? So that's probably an idea. And then I want you to think on page 243. There's a lot of clues on there. Text features and in the text. There's text clues in there too. So I want you to look for them. Okay? Okay, number 2. Pause it and answer it. Okay. Number 2, review pages 244 and 245. Why does Uncle Fred's reaction to Rosie's cheese hat upset her so much? We talked about this too. Okay, so y'all can rewind it and y'all can hear me talk about it, and then use some text features, and then do some inferencing. Okay. Number 3. How is Aunt Rose's reaction to Rosie's inventions the same as Uncle Fred's? So they both did something that kind of like upset Rosie, right? But then Rosie's aunt did something else. I'll leave you with that. Okay, pause it, do that, and then come back. Ooh, y'all came back so fast. Oh my god, okay. Alright guys, so we're going to move on. Y'all ready? Alright, so the spelling that we're going to do, it's going to be a test grade, okay? So you're going to write, using your spelling words, like they're right here for you guys. Right here. Okay. I want you to write a story. And I want you to use at least 10 of your spelling words, okay? Within the story. So you can write about anything you want, but it has to include 10 of those spelling words, okay? Doesn't matter to me. You can choose whichever you want. But I'm going to be checking for punctuation, capitalization. Okay? Okay? All right. Pause it, come back. You back yet? Did you do good? All right, so page 254. So for writing, guys, we have another prompt, okay? Rosie Revere Engineer tells the story of a young girl who wants to become an engineer. The funny and inspiring story is told through a rhyming poem that almost sounds like a song. Do y'all know of another author that does that? That does a lot of rhyming? Kind of sounds like a song. Talks about eggs and ham. Write a narrative summary of Rosie Revere Engineer. Retell the most important events in the text in the order they happen. In your summary, describe the characters that include funny or inspiring scenes, as well as the lesson Rosie learned. And don't forget to use some of the critical vocabulary words in your writing. All right, guys. So these are your vocabulary words right here. Okay, I want you to at least use 2 of them. How many? 2, okay? So what you're going to do is you are going to be the author. You're going to write a paragraph in a timeline format. So you're going to tell me what happened first, second, third, fourth, okay? Okay, so I want you to give me at least 4 events. How many events? With how many vocabulary words? Okay, just making sure. All right, so we're going to, you can include something funny that happened, but I'm more interested in the detail that you provide, okay? So make sure that here's your checklist, guys, okay? Make sure that it follows the first, next, then, and after, so at least 4 events, okay? And that it goes in order It can't be jumping around. Okay? I wish y'all could talk back to me. I don't like talking to myself and telling jokes to myself very much. No one laughs. Okay. Okay. I think that is it. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. Yes, and then your 30 minutes of iStation, and you're done for the week. Congratulations. You have done it. You have finished your first week of school at home. Yay! I'm so excited. All right, guys. So, y'all could, if y'all have been taking pictures of everything that y'all have been doing, awesome, cool. And if y'all haven't, please take pictures of them and send them to me. Or on Monday, whenever y'all go pick up your new packet, you can just put everything in that folder, the orangey yellow folder that we gave y'all, and then y'all can just turn everything in, okay? Monday, we will be giving y'all new packets, or if y'all are doing everything online, you can just do it online, okay? I think that is it. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Don't forget to do your 30 minutes of iStation. I'm watching y'all. Make sure it says 30 in the little box with the time. 30, okay? Don't log out until it says 30. And pay attention. A lot of y'all are not paying attention. I'm watching y'all. All right, guys. We'll see y'all later. I miss y'all so much. I miss y'all. I miss y'all's jokes. I miss playing around with y'all. All right. We'll see y'all later, guys. Bye.